Hello friends, welcome to day 11 of the 12 Days of Christmas Tumbler series. In this video, we're going to make a split checkerboard tumbler. I'll be honest, this one I think is my favorite of them all. I feel like I've said that almost every video, but this one really I love how this cup turned out. So I'm using a True 22 tumbler from the Tipsy Magnolia here. This is a tapered tumbler, so the design is going to be a little bit more difficult. Like I always say, if you're using a curved tumbler or a tapered tumbler, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult to get all the things rolling. But if you use a straight edge tumbler, you'll have a lot easier of a time. But I like these little tumblers for coffee. I think they're really great. So anyway, that's what I'm using. I'm going to start out by splitting my tumbler in half vertically. I'm using my measuring tape here and I'm trying to find the exact split point. So I measured around the top rim of my tumbler, took that full measurement, divided by 2, and now I'm making marks on my tumbler where the measurement starts and then where that perfect halfway measurement is, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to tape off those sides with my painter's tape, and we're going to go right in with our glitter on the first side. I'm not going to base paint my cup at all. We're going to use a gold glitter for this side of the tumbler, so the silver stainless steel base is a fine base for the gold glitter. I'm using the epoxy method to apply my glitter here, so I put about 2 milliliters of the Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Artist Cure epoxy on my tumbler, and now I'm going in with my gold glitter. The glitter I'm using is Gold Rush from Chase Ray Creations. Immediately after glittering, as always, I'm going to remove my painter's tape, and then I'm going to let this sit and cure overnight. And then the next day, I'll seal this glitter section with my favorite sealer, which is a 50-50 mix of the Crystalac glitter glue and water. And once we've sealed that glitter, it is not going to move. It's not going to go anywhere. So now we can move on to the other side of the cup. For this side, we're going to do a white glitter because, spoiler alert, we're going to put a clear printable sticker paper decal on this side of the tumbler. So I'm going to do 3 coats of white paint. I want really, really nice, smooth, opaque coverage here. So I'm using my Delta Ceramcoat white acrylic paint, and I'm going to do 3 really nice, solid coats. For the third coat, so I guess 2 coats of paint, and then the third coat has paint mixed in with the glue. I'm using the Crystalac glitter glue, and like I said, mixed with a little bit of white paint, just for that extra little layer of coverage. I'm sure it comes as a shocker to no one that I'm using coconut for my white glitter on this tumbler. You guys know I've been obsessed with this color lately. It is so beautiful, so versatile. Oh, I just love it. You got to add it to your cart right away and use code MAL15 to save 15% on your order at chaseraycreations.com. Okay, so once I've glittered this side of the cup, I'm going to let this glitter dry for 2 hours, and then we'll be ready to epoxy our tumbler. I'm going to use 2 coats of Flynn Sisters Supply Shop Fast Cure epoxy here, and I used about 20 to 25 milliliters for each of those coats. And now at this point, our cup is ready to be sanded, and we can do all of our vinyl work and everything at this point. Your cup does not need to be perfectly smooth and shiny just yet, because we're going to do a whole lot of designing and stuff before we add that clear decal. So you can go ahead and sand down your tumbler and make sure it's totally smooth. And we're going to work on the gold side of the cup first, do some epoxy, and then we'll worry about the clear decal. So a dull, rough, sanded surface at this point is totally okay. So what we're going to do on the gold side of the tumbler is do a painted checkerboard. So as you can see, I've got my 1-inch wide painter's tape, and I'm going to do a painter's tape checkerboard. I figured this would be a whole lot easier than trying to cut a checkerboard template and apply it to this tapered tumbler. It's just easier to place the pieces of tape by hand and do it this way, at least for me. But if you're using a skinny tumbler and you're doing this design and you would rather use a checkerboard template that you cut with your Cricut or Silhouette or whatever, you absolutely can. You are not required at all to use a painter's tape template like I'm doing here. It's just easier for me with a tapered or curved tumbler. I don't think I've ever done a checkerboard on a curved tumbler now that I say that, but anyway, so I'm starting out with my vertical stripes, and then I'm going to remove every other stripe of my painter's tape so that it looks just like a blue and gold vertical stripe. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing going horizontally down the tumbler, and then we'll go through and we'll cut each individual square by hand using the tape layers as a guide. And I know you guys have seen me do this a ton of times, especially recently. I'm like very into checkerboard right now. So if you want to see more examples of how I do this, you can watch my other checkerboard videos that I've done recently. And I do the exact same process every single time. So the process doesn't change because of the design or the shape of the cup or anything like that. I do the exact same thing every time. Very much a loyal creature of habit. Okay, so after all of your taping and cutting and peeling, you should be left with a checkerboard template that looks like this. And now what I'm going to do with this checkerboard template is something a little bit different, and I've never done this before, but I thought it would be kind of fun. So I'm going to take the offset, well, this is technically the second offset for the decal. We'll worry about the other layers later, but this is the largest offset that I have for my decal. And I'm going to put this inlaid within the checkerboard. Now, if you want to do this digitally and like create your template and then cut it all out so it's all done, you definitely can, but I'm kind of a craft MacGyver, so I'm going to just do this in the way that makes sense with my brain. As you guys know, I always do. So I cut this out of just regular, this is black permanent vinyl, and I'm going to place it where I want my decal to go on this side of the cup. I want it directly in the middle. So I'm just going to place it right over my tape template that I've got on my cup. I'm going to lay the vinyl down just like we would any other regular decal, and then what I'm going to do is paint my template. I'm not going to cut anything, I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to use this offset basically to block out some of the sections so that when we put the other layers of this decal down, some of the checkerboard is going to be like cut out so that it looks like the decal was built into the checkerboard template. It'll make more sense once you see it, but I just want you to obviously follow the process if you want to recreate this, but also know what I'm doing and not be like, what the heck is Mal doing? She's crazy. She doesn't have anything together. You know, sometimes I feel that way, but anyway, that's what we're doing. So then once that decal is down, we can go right in with our acrylic paint and we can paint our checkerboard. I'm not going to do a glitter checkerboard here. I wanted to have the contrast of the gold glitter and then just the solid red checkerboard pattern. Of course, if you want to glitter it, you can. So what you would do is just base coat, and then I would do acrylic paint mixed in with Mod Podge or glitter glue or whatever, do your glitter, and then peel up your stencils. So you would do all of that in the same steps. I'm just not doing the extra glitter, which I know will shock some of you. I just really thought it would look cool without the glitter in this one very unique circumstance. So for this paint, I'm gonna do 3 coats as well, just of plain paint. Again, I'm not glittering, so I'm not mixing anything with my paint. I'm just doing a coat, letting it dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then going in with my next coat of paint. I want this to be really, really nice and crispy and very opaque. So once that final coat of paint is dry, we can go in for peely time. Now this isn't technically a peekaboo, and I know I say this every time I do a checkerboard. It still brings me the same joy as a peekaboo would, because you're still revealing some sort of pattern and some kind of magic underneath your stencils. All right, now we can go in with the next layer of our decal. So for this one, I cut this out of red chrome vinyl from TECKWRAP Craft, and I'm gonna just place this right within that section that we mapped out with our bigger offset. So I can't remember the sizes, honestly, that I used for this, but what you'll want is a large offset, or an extra large offset, a large offset, and a like small to medium offset, okay? If you want to do all the layers I'm doing here. Of course, if you want to just do like your outer stencil one that we used for the black layer to cut out of the checkerboard, and then a regular offset, and then your top layer, you can do that as well. You don't have to do all the crazy layers that I'm doing here, but I think it ties it all together and just makes it look really nice. So I'm laying this chrome vinyl in my checkerboard section, and I have not done any epoxy or anything on here, so I'm just being very careful to lay this down carefully. I don't want to pull up any paint or rip anything or mess anything up. Of course, if you feel more comfortable doing a coat of epoxy before you add this vinyl, you definitely can. But I was just really excited and I wanted to see what it was going to look like when I put the decals in this little checkerboard inlay thing that we did. After that layer's down, I'm going to go right into my next layer. Now this one, of course, no surprise here, this is the textured metallic champagne gold vinyl, also from TECKWRAP Craft. I'm going to put this down right on top of that chrome vinyl, and then I'm going to go in with a coat of epoxy. The top layer of this decal, I'm going to use regular white vinyl, so I don't want to have this texture of the textured metallic that we're using. I don't want that to show through my plain white vinyl, so I'm going to smooth all of that out with a coat of epoxy before I add the top layer of the decal. If you're not using textured vinyl in a layer that's not your top layer, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that's why I did a couple layers of the decal and then went back and finished it off. I wanted to make sure that the texture was kind of taken away before we added the top layer of the decal. We're going to quickly pivot to the very bottom of our tumbler. Now, as you saw, I just put down some vinyl striping in between the two halves of our cup, and I had the bottoms wrap around the bottom rim. And now I'm going to finish off the very bottom of my tumbler with my UV resin and glitter mixture to help prevent those pieces of vinyl striping from lifting when I go in and do any of my other steps. So there is a method to the madness here in the order in which we are doing things. So you'll see I added some red glitter and epoxy mixed together. I did that in the very, very beginning. It's just UV resin and glitter mixed. And then I added some green glitter into my UV resin for that outer ring. And now I'm gonna add more of that red glitter and UV resin mixture. So we've got a little bit of a green touch down at the bottom of the cup, of course, to make it more Christmassy. I'm gonna cure that under my lamp for about 5 minutes, and then the bottom of our cup is done. I'm gonna add my signature later, but that's all I'm gonna do to the bottom. So now I've added my other coat of epoxy. Everything is nice and smooth and shiny again. So now I can add my clear decal. Now this decal is made with elements that I got from Creative Fabrica. This is actually 2 different images that I got on Creative Fabrica, and I melded them together. So one image is like a row of Santa, and then one image is a row of the reindeer, and I just spliced them up and made it one bigger image with both Santa and the reindeer because I couldn't decide which one to use and I wanted to take up more space on the cup, so I decided to just mega compound them into one decal. So I'll link both files down below if you want to do the exact same thing, or you can use any sort of decal image that you would like. I just think these are so stinking cute, and it really like emulates the vibe of this tumbler altogether. So like I said, I printed this out on my Avery clear sticker paper. I'm just cutting it out by hand, and you can see I'm just applying it like a sticker. And I know I've said this before, but I always get questions about it. I don't seal the sticker paper. I don't do anything to it. I print, let it dry, put it on like a sticker, and then I move on to epoxy. After adding the top layer for our quote decal with that white vinyl, I'm also going to add some red chrome striping to the striping on each side of the cup. I'm using the same red chrome vinyl that we used for that first offset on the decal, just to tie everything together a little bit more. The initial stripes that I put down were very, very thick, so I wanted to cut them a little bit. And again, I'm doing this in 2 separate steps because I wanted to take a little bit of the texture away from that textured metallic vinyl so that you don't see all of those little textured bits underneath your chrome or plain vinyl. So once all of this vinyl work and everything is done, all we need to do is go into our final 2 coats of epoxy. For these final 2 coats, of course, I'm using my FLYNN Sisters Supply Shop Artist Cure Epoxy for maximum UV protection. And these 2 final coats are about, I would say, probably 25 milliliters each. I always give you guys estimates on my epoxy amounts because I mix like 200 milliliters at a time because I'm usually working on multiple things at once. So I just kind of glob it out with my hand and estimate based on how much epoxy I mix and how much I put on each cup, or like how many cups I'm working on. So my estimates are always that estimates, but usually for each cup I would use like between 20 and 30 milliliters for a coat. So anyway, that's it. That's it for this design. That's it for this tutorial. Like I said in the beginning, this is my favorite one. This is just like the Christmas vibe that I want to have. These little images are so cute. They're just so joyful and happy and fun, and oh, I just love it so, so much. I really hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you are inspired by this design. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, of course. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of my new videos. We've got one more video in this series and a few more Christmas tutorials coming because it's like Thanksgiving hasn't even happened yet and we're already going to be done with the 12 days of Christmas. So you know I've got some more Christmas winter tutorials coming. They just won't officially be part of this series. So definitely more fun designs to come. So be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss them. And that's it. I'll see you tomorrow for day 12 of the 12 Days of Christmas Tumbler series. Okay, love you. Bye.